Hello everybody and welcome back to the United Stand. Welcome to Erik ten Hag's press conference reaction. We have another game against Brentford at home and we have to win it. I feel like I keep saying that. We have to win this game, but we do have to win this game. Erik ten Hag is speaking about the inconsistency, whether certain players are fit. Anthony's going to start, Reguilon's out. Also some other stuff coming out there, talking about the team, how characters need to stand up, backing Marcus Rashford, so loads to get into. Also, another question on Sancho. It's like, what a wasted question that is. He's obviously just going to turn you away and be like, not speaking about that. We're still talking about Sancho. Sancho's not part of the team. So I think questions need to stop being asked about him, to be honest with you, because he's just irrelevant. But we'll get into all of Erik ten Hag's answers. Also, Thomas Frank's come out with a few quotes that we're going to kind of dissect together. And we'll talk about what team could possibly start tomorrow, because I have a prediction about what team Erik ten Hag's going to start. And I don't think many people are going to like it. I really don't. Me, myself, questions the team that I think he might start. But we'll get into it all. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. I mean, Erik ten Hag, the pressure is on. The pressure is on. I'm firmly behind this manager, but we've got to get a result. If we don't get a result against Brentford, if we lose against Brentford and then all the results go against us, we could generally be like 15th in a relegation battle. And I know it's only early October, but that is not a position we want to be in, so we've got to win this game. And Brentford only have one win so far in the Premier League this season. They're a good side, but they're missing Ivan Toney. They're not doing as well. There's no excuses. So let's get into it. Afternoon, everybody. Afternoon, welcome to the show. Also, if anyone's not heard, this got me into a little bit of trouble with a few Pogba fanboys on Twitter. Paul Pogba has tested positive again for doping. I mean, I know he's not a United player anymore, but he was. So testosterone was found in his backup sample and he could be out for up to 4 years. Career over. And I tweeted out saying the best thing Pogba ever did was reject the contract offer that we put on the table. I think it was around 300 grand a week. And people were like, well, it was only a 10% increase. It was a high offer that we never should have offered for someone who's injury prone, does the wrong things off the field, off the pitch, and constantly slagged Man United off in the international breaks. And everyone remembers before that Champions League game when he came, someone who close to him came out with comments as well, never shut him down. So it's sad. It's really sad. Pogba was such a talented player, is a talented player, could have been one of the best midfielders in the world, genuinely. And he was unbelievable, that tournament they won the World Cup. I always wanted it to work, but it's just an example of a player that's done the wrong things off the pitch. They've got all the talent, but they've done the wrong things. But anyway, it was the best thing he ever did, not accepting that contract for us. Anyhow, let's move on to Erik ten Hag in this press conference. So, Ten Hag says that Reguilon is still out for Manchester United tomorrow, but Anthony could start. That was coming from Luckhurst. But the actual quote that Erik ten Hag said is, not for tomorrow, Reguilon, but I think Anthony is ready for a start. So does that mean Anthony's going to start? I think it probably does, saying he's ready for a start, and we know how much he loves him, paid 90 million for him. I reckon Anthony will be back in the starting 11 tomorrow. What do you make about that? I think it's a good thing. We need a right winger on the right wing. You bought Anthony for a reason. He's part of his plan. I think it's good to get him back out there and playing him on the right wing. I'd be very happy about it. I'd much prefer it to Bruno playing on the right, that's for sure. Turai Karan says, having a few bad seasons is not a bad thing. Glazers will be forced to sell. I'm willing to suffer. I've seen so many United fans say that, and it's such a sad state of affairs that that's what some of the fans are coming out with, but it's understandable. So Ten Hag was asked on problems in Manchester United, where the problems are, and he says consistency is a problem. That is the problem that we are struggling with. In parts of the game, in big parts, we do a lot of things right. We have moments where we struggle, and in such moments, we can't survive. Erik, at least you can see it for what it is. It needs to change, but at least you can see it for what it is. How many of us are saying that Man United are 20 minutes FC? 20 minutes, we play well, and after the 20-minute mark, we just concede and our heads drop and we let everything go. It's so strange. For the majority of the time this season, we've played well for 20 minutes of football, not capitalised by scoring a goal, and then we've gone on to either concede or crumble or just start being sloppy. We have been 20 minutes FC this season, and something needs to change with it. But even times where we have managed to score, for example, in the Galatasaray game, we did manage to score that goal. We conceded 5 minutes later. We have such sloppy moments, individual moments, team moments, and I've said before, I said the other day, it looks like Erik ten Hag's given out 4 different game plans and just spread them around the pitch, and no one's on the same wavelength. The team is crumbling, the character isn't there, and questions do need to be asked of the senior members on that pitch of why that is happening. Why is it crumbling apart? Why is the team not focused? What is the problem? And obviously, I love Bruno, but the captain's got to come under some scrutiny as well for for this. You are the captain. You are supposed to keep the game plan together on the pitch. It keeps falling apart. So that's something that does need to be addressed. But I also think what's not helped is putting square pegs in round holes, playing players out of position. And obviously the injury list doesn't help with the consistency as well. But that's where we're at. But at least Erik ten Hag has kind of addressed that, because it's so obvious. Consistency is something we've always lacked. But it's not just consistency technically, and it's consistently mentality as well. The consistent mentality to win, to keep your head strong, to stay in the game, it's just not there with this team. It's really not. And the mentality affects how you play as well. And it's about keeping that consistent winning mentality, which a lot of these players struggle to do. So Erik ten Hag says, we need to do the right things, be consistent and do it like before. So definitely you can mark up such a moment up when we score or concede a goal. We have to step up. Telling it how it is, we have to step up. Actions speak louder than words. We'll see on Saturday, because these mistakes keep happening time and time again. Jake Harrison says, a keeper that can't make saves and gives the ball away is pointless. Do you know, I was watching a video on Twitter, and it was Onana last season. Onana, playing last season. And I was thinking, that is not the same guy I've seen over the last few games. There is a player in Onana, of 100% there's a player in him. But we're not playing to the way that he suits, so we're not utilising him for what he is, which is a keeper that comes onto the edge of his box, can play with the ball at his feet and play really good possession-based football and be that kind of sweeper. We're not utilising for that. Is it because our back line is all jumbled up and misjointed and we've got injuries? Maybe, but you still have to try and play the way that you are going to play football. If that was the game plan, we should be utilising Onana for that game plan. But I agree, every shot that comes at him looks like he's going to let it in. I think it's confidence. Confidence is absolutely shot, but he can save shots. He got 10 clean sheets in the Champions League last season. That's not a keeper that isn't good. Inter Milan's defence is much more organised than ours, and our team is a well-oiled machine. Of course it is, and we're all over the place. But yeah, Onana has been really poor, but that's not the keeper that we bought. And we expect to have the keeper we bought, of course we do. But that is also something that's making things a little bit shaky as well. And David Ross says it doesn't matter about his feet. Right now, he can't make the simple saves. It's confidence. It's confidence. And we can all talk about the fact when De Gea came in, he was dreadful when he first came in, and he actually he conceded more goals in his first, I don't know how many games it was, than what Onana has, which it feels impossible to do. Or we lost more games. One of them, I don't know the exact stat, we maybe lost more games. I don't know what it was. We can't have lost more games when he came in. I don't know exactly what it was. I think it was conceded more shots. But De Gea was 20 years old. I think he was a young kid. Onana's an established 27-year-old Champions League finalist. You expect more from that. You can't use that excuse. You can't use the excuse that he's a young kid. He's an established goalkeeper. He needs to be performing. And there is some excuse in this sense. It's obviously he's got to adapt. This team is riddled with injuries and he's not playing the way that we would expect to play with Onana. But you can't make an excuse for him not performing at the level that we bought him for, because we know he has that in him. And he's established. So he does need to step up. All the senior players have to step up. But Erik ten Hag say on fixing problems in this team, it's difficult, but you do the research and look at it. We've spoken about it, how we can improve, and we make some agreements about that. I think there's more than one factor. Concentration is a big one, but there's other things. Eric, I honestly, what I would have done as well is, hopefully he's watching back these games. Ricky actually texted me before saying, I've just seen Eddie Howe saying he watched their PSG game back first thing the next morning. Maybe made me wonder if our manager even bothers. He obviously will watch back the games. Erik ten Hag is going to do that. But the team and Erik ten Hag, what they need to be doing, and I'm not a football coach, Erik ten Hag will be doing this, is they need to be dissecting that performance all together. And they need to be called out for mistakes. Individual errors need to be called out. Team errors need to be called out. I'd even put the Beckham documentary on straight after and say, look, this is what you should be. This is what being a Man United player is, and none of you are playing to that standard or that level, not just technically, but up here as well, mentality-wise. This is the headspace you need to be in. So there's so many things that this squad needs. The mentality is on the floor. We know how low the confidence is. I mean, the fact that there was stuff coming out saying that Erik ten Hag doesn't feel like he can be as brutal as he wants to be because he's scared about fragility of the mental state of some of the players shows where we're at. These players have dropped their heads so many times before, so he does have to be a little bit careful. And it's a shame that is the case, because as a Man United player, you should be headstrong. You should be willing to take the heat. You should take the heat willingly. And there should be such a high standard. And when you do something wrong as a team, when you do something wrong as an individual, you should be called out for it. And behind closed doors, you should be called out for it by the manager. That should be happening. So Erik ten Hag saying that there's many problems to fix, it's difficult, and you do the research and you look at it, and we've spoken about it, and there's lots of different factors. There is lots of different factors. There's so many. I could list some off here. The fact we're having to play a midfielder who's not even adapted yet into this Man United team as a left-back because we have 3 left-backs injured. That is a problem. That isn't great because love Amrabat, he should be playing in midfield. He got skinned twice for 2 goals against Galatasaray. That shouldn't be happening. And you could argue he could play Lindelof there instead. That's what I would do. I'll play Dalot there and Lindelof right back. But that's a factor, that's a problem. The fact that Nana hasn't adapted to the way that we thought he would be. The fact that he's cost us 2 Champions League games by making mistakes. That's a problem. That's a problem for the team. The fact that our forward players, our star players that were carrying us last year in the sense of Rashford with his goals, isn't scoring, isn't playing well, and he's continually being picked. That's a problem. The problem that Casemiro is nowhere near as good as he was last year. And you can talk about players around him. You can talk about the fact he needs Amrabat in midfield. You can talk about the fact he's not got a good enough midfield around him. These are all very, very good excuses. But he's not performing to the level he was last year. He's failing to track runners and he looks a lot sloppier. That's another problem we're dealing with. The fact that Anthony dropped out the team, who's a big cog in the function of a system. He might not have the desired output going forward, but he's a system player for Ten Hag. The fact that he's been out for a few weeks and what he's have to deal with behind the scenes, that's a problem. The fact Jadon Sancho decided to mouth off on social media, not apologise, be arrogant, and get himself exiled from the squad, that causes problems in the dressing room. That's another problem. The fact that when Højlund first came in, he was injured, so he couldn't use him. He had Rashford playing up front for the first few games. That's another problem. There's so many problems at Manchester United. Martinez's injury. The fact Varane's always on and off with injury. There's no consistency. I mean, there's so many problems that you could name and there's different factors, but Erik ten Hag as a manager has to sort them out. And things that you can't make an excuse for is Bruno on the right. There's no excuses. There's no excuses for that. Rashford not being subbed off when he's not played well. Thankfully, he started to sub him, but there was no excuses for that either. There's other things that kind of come into it where I thought, you could tell against Burnley that Amrabat probably wasn't up to playing left back and you should move him into midfield with Casemiro because Casemiro's suffering. So I do question, as coach, why haven't you played Amrabat and Casemiro together in midfield and played Lindelof as right back and Dalot left back, especially when Dalot played so well left back against Saka? It's just, there's so many questions. I'm going on a rant, but Ten Hag, there is so many problems. I've listed loads of them there and there's probably more. But also you need to start doing the right things as well. You need to start making the right decisions. You need to stop persisting with things that aren't working. And yeah, we just need to play players in the best positions as best as we can and be a team. Like, look at Newcastle. Yes, they've spent money, but they're a team. Longstaff, Burn, Almiron, all on the score sheet against PSG in the Champions League. They're a well-oiled machine that plays a team. United aren't that. United are a group of individuals that aren't performing. I see Dead Body says, about Onana, he was never the best shot stoppers. In Inter, they had a great defence and they didn't concede many chances. I love Dave, but Andre is our keeper now and we need to support him. Thank you for that. Thank you for that super chat there. And anyway, Erik ten Hag comment about mentality in itself is calling out the players and he will expect a response. I mean, can anyone play left back? I've seen in the chat. Anyone want to volunteer themselves as tribute? So, yeah, obviously Reguilon is still out, which is annoying because he did train with the team today, but you've got to be precautionary around that because he's the only left back we've got that's close to fitness, and it is an issue for us. Good to see Anthony will probably be starting, and we'll talk about the starting 11 in a second. So Erik ten Hag got asked about Marcus Rashford. Obviously, Marcus Rashford's going through a really bad vein of form. He says, strikers, when they don't score, they need a moment and it will come. He's so experienced, and when he's doing the right things and the team is, the momentum will come and he will be on fire. So he's backing Rashford. Rashford's going to start again, everyone. Don't think he'll get dropped. He's going to start again. He's backing him. Erik ten Hag loves him. He loves him. And whether you think that's right or wrong, that is your opinion. If I was manager, I wouldn't be starting Rashford tomorrow. I wouldn't be. I don't think he's played well enough to deserve a start. I'd be bringing him on off the bench against tired legs to kind of reignite his form that way. Give him a bit of fire in his belly, give him that hunger. Ten Hag will start him, and he says it will come. So we've got to trust the manager. We've got to trust the manager. It's not just about goals that will come, though. He needs to perform across 90 minutes, Eric. That's what I'd be asking about. Erik ten Hag on changing the starting 11. He said, we've had to make changes almost every game and then the routine changes. You make mistakes as a team and the opponent takes benefit from it, so we need to be on the same page. We need communication in such moments and we need to be well organised. True. The organisation hasn't been good enough. The leaders in this team haven't been stepping up, and I think that's literally calling them out there to do that. The communication needs to be better. The organisation needs to be better. And literally, like I just said, no player looks like they're on the same page. We need to play as a team, and that's been massively lost recently. Minute 19, member for 33 months, can also use left back from the youth that played well during pre-season. He's on loan. He is on loan, my friend. If you're talking about Fernandes, he's on loan. And Erik ten Hag on performance levels dropping. We've dropped the levels and we have to get back to those. There are reasons for that, but still it is not acceptable and we have to fight against it. They have a good foundation for the way we play. We have rules, we have principles. When they help each other and support each other, we will play better. And that's talking about the team there, that they need to support each other and help each other through it. And there's only so many times these things can be said without improvements. Sometimes drastic changes need to be made. I think if we have one more, if against Brentford again, we look like we're not improving in the slightest, serious questions need to be asked about when is this team going to change. Ten Hag's going to give him another chance, but we've seen it happen so many times, persisting with playing players out of position, playing favourites. It won't do you any favours in the long term, Erik. It really won't. And I'm a massive Bruno fan. I'm a massive Rashford fan. But all I will say is if Mount is on the bench tomorrow and Bruno plays, I just won't be in agreement with that, and I'll be asking questions. I think Bruno should start, by the way, and I think I'd try and start Mount as well. But if Mount's bench and Bruno starts, there should be questions asked because Mount has played better in the last 3 games. So why? I know Bruno's captain, I know that, and that's the situation you put yourself in. But this is when you will start asking questions about what is happening and why them decisions are being made. Hopefully with Anthony back on the right-hand side, we won't see Bruno play there, so that's good. But there's so many things at this moment in time going wrong right now. And he says, on Rashford again, it's normal not to be always at the same levels. Everyone knows the quality of him. Also, the opposition knows. But if Rashi is doing the right things and the team is doing the right things, put him in the right places, then it's up to him. Just basically saying the same thing. Needs to make the right decisions and he needs to keep doing the right things. Ten Hag must think he's doing the right things right now. From what I've seen, I've not. He's making the wrong decisions, and last game I had no complaints, but in recent games, his body language has been off and he's not been tracking back the way you would want a Man United player to track. There's no excuses for it. I don't care what your name is, you track back and forth across this pitch for Man United and you give everything. I've not seen that from Rashford, so interesting. He's obviously going to back him to the press. And he says, on Rashford's decision-making in the final third, we have seen it in the last weeks. He's getting into good positions. Now he's a little bit struggling, but this will pass because everybody knows his qualities. And then he talks about him saying, everyone at Man United backs him. The whole team is supportive of him and believes in him. So I'm sure with that confidence, with that belief, this will change and pass. The only thing, Erik, is all players go in and out of form. Of course they do. Like, you have to be a seriously good player, like top class, to not have spells of bad form and to not have spells of good form. You know, all players go through peaks and troughs. The issue is with Rashford is this is happening consistently across the course of his career. He'll have a high scoring moment, then he'll go downhill and not play very well for a period of time. Then he'll go back into that form and then he'll not play again as well. It's like, how long can you carry a player that isn't providing, that isn't playing well, that isn't providing the goals and the assists, which is what Rashford provides, because over the course of 90 minutes, he's never really been that player that's going to carry you through a 90-minute game. So it's how long do you wait? How long is this acceptable for? That's the question that I would be asking. I think Rashford, like Erik ten Hag says, he's got unbelievable talent, and when he's on form and he has the ability, he can punish teams, absolutely, and there's a reason why he stays on. The reason is because he can create moments out of nothing. He's got it in him. Like, he has got it in him. But how long can you persist with someone when they keep doing the same things over and over again? That's the question. But they were all the quotes from Erik ten Hag's press conference. Obviously, there'll be a bit more that's probably been embargoed that will come out later tonight. But talking a lot about Erik ten Hag, talking about the character of the team, the communication, and basically just saying there's no excuses, we are not good enough. And I expect to see a reaction tomorrow. Tomorrow, I heard Mark say it on the morning show, it will be a big indication of where these players are at and the headspace that these players are in. If we see a team again that loses concentration, lapses in performance, and is sloppy, and he's making the same mistakes over and over again, you know it's a team that's not listening to the manager. You know it, because there's no excuse. These are professional football players that can play at the highest level. They've proved it before. If everyone's together and you see an improvement and you see the communication improve, you see the team spirit improve, you see the team shape improve, you see the team with cohesion, then you'll know that they are backing this manager and they are trying to turn the corner for him. So that's what we need to look for tomorrow. We need to see a team. We need to see players playing for each other. I want to see hunger. I want to see aggression. And the biggest thing I want to see as well is something that me and my friends have been talking about over the course of this season. Man United looks so weak. We look like we've got no backbone. We look like boys versus men half the time. The way Dalot got bullied for that Zaha goal just summed it up in completion, really. And I like Dalot, but that was just ridiculous and there was no excuse for it. We've been shoulder barged off the ball. We've been out-challenged. We've been out-muscled. We've been out-paced. We've been out-ran. We've looked spineless. I want to see a team that are going out there fighting for the shirt, that look like they want to go to war. That's what I want to see, because I've not seen that with United at all season. Matt says, Rashford's form depends on how the team is doing. If we are in a tricky spell, he seems to go missing. Yeah, exactly. And it's like, I don't want to compare here because it's just like I don't want to just go in on Rashford, but other wingers at the top level will work their socks off for you. I don't see Rashford do it, and that energy kind of spreads throughout the team. You're a senior player. Mo Salah, one of the best wingers that we've ever seen in the Premier League, he works his socks off. Son works his socks off. You know, you see it all across the board. Jack Grealish, I remember in, the Champions League last year, and he was the furthest man back, going sprinting across the pitch to make a crunching tackle. Doesn't matter who you are, who you play for, you need that energy across the whole team. And Jake Harrison said Ten Hag will be fine before the Glazers, and there's only one person who can change that, and it's Erik ten Hag. Sancho should be playing. Why should Sancho be playing? Please give me one reason why Sancho should be playing, please. He's done nothing for United within 3 years. He went against the manager publicly and then refused to apologise, and he's now saying he wants to leave in January. Why should he play? There's no reason why Sancho should play. What, because we're not doing well? No, if you have standards like that, you'll never go anywhere with a squad and with a team that is all on the same page and fighting for the same thing. It would be completely ridiculous to bring Sancho back in now without an apology. It would completely hurt the dressing room in a way that you wouldn't even be able to believe, because players would realise as soon as we start playing poorly, the weakness creeps in within the manager, and that's not what you want. And Ten Hag won't do it. Funky KQ says, not just weak, we cannot hold a formation at the minute at all. We look like a bunch of seagulls after a chip most of the time. That is such a good analogy, a bunch of seagulls after a chip. Definitely. Renate says, must be hard being positive United player as well, so much going on. Yeah, just so much going on off the pitch. But anyway, I want to talk a little bit about the starting 11 that I think Erik ten Hag will play. Before I do that, I just wanted to get up some quotes from Thomas Frank because I found it interesting, the stuff he was saying. So, Thomas Frank talking a little bit about Manchester United and obviously the poor run that we're on at the moment. He says, on the flip side is that they need to bounce back and come flying out to do everything they can to beat us. There will be pressure to beat Brentford, but Man United is a massive club and there is pressure to win every game. He says, I don't think it makes a difference that they haven't played well. I am always in doubt when you meet a team with great form and momentum, whether it's bad or will that run end. He said, it's a great club, a great team, great manager and fantastic players. A big challenge, but we'll look forward to it and we'll go there believing we can get something out of it. So Thomas Frank speaking quite positively on United. Behind closed doors, he's probably saying, look lads, all you've got to do is cause them a few problems, muscle them off the ball a few times, outpace them, work harder than them, we'll get a goal. And once we get a goal, they'll start to crumble. Thomas Frank will be going here very confidently that he can get a win out of this game, and so he should. So he should. If we play anything like we have been doing over the last few weeks, Brentford will win. Brentford will win. And Brentford haven't been good either. We need to go out there with an improved level of performance. We need to. We need to go out there as a team. He will be going there thinking that they can win this game. And that's... It's like, it's just watch Galatasaray. I mean, Zaha was speaking about in the post-match interview. He said, do you ever feel like you couldn't come back in this game? He's like, no, we know. We know that we can exploit them. We went 1-0 up against Galatasaray. They came back again. Then we went 2-1 up. They came back again. And then went on to win the game. Every team knows that you can get at our defence, that we can concede goals. Every team knows they've got a way back into this game. We need to become a team that doesn't let teams out into the game, that doesn't let teams believe that they can get anything out of this game. That's the issue, because how much in sport is it to do with the mental side of it as well? Teams are coming to Old Trafford believing even if they go 1 or 2-0 down, they can still get a result. Teams that on paper aren't as good as ours as well. So that's where things need to change. Thomas Frank on Højlund, he's scoring goals. I know he's not playing for Brentford, but I'm Danish and I'm happy that a Danish player is coming through and doing well. It was impressive performance for him against Galatasaray with 2 very good goals. He looks like he's in a very good place. Exactly, Frank. Exactly, Thomas Frank. He says the aim is to keep him quiet on Saturday. We need to see these situations early and try to close down the source to him. We need to be aware of not giving him too much space to run into because he is quick and he is good with the timing of his runs. We need to see situations early and try to stop balls into him, and that is definitely a key area for us. So, Thomas Frank again speaking about how Højlund, obviously, the pacing behind is massive for him. I expect to see Brentford play quite a deep line and not give Rashford or Højlund that spacing behind. I expect as well cutting off the supply in the midfield and in and around the box. Brentford are going to be very, very quick to get out to us, to get onto us. We need to see that coming. We need to be able to keep hold of the ball because we're so poor at holding possession and just forcing the pass in the final third. Brentford will see that. They'll have been training that. They'll know as soon as they give us a slight bit of pressure, one of our midfielders will feel pressurised to just pump it into the box, hit and hope ball. We need to move the ball quickly, create triangles in and around the final third, create patterns of play with different players, be in positions to receive the ball, get to the byline, put crosses into the box, be patient and make it difficult for Brentford. We need to do that. Brentford, I think Forest had a team member sent off on the 56th minute. 1-1, that game finished. Brentford still couldn't score. We need to be patient this game, work the ball well, and we can win it if we do the right things. Corper says, I really feel like we should drop Bruno and Rashford for a few games. Can it really be any worse than this? We are in relegation form right now, sadly. Yeah, we are. I mean, I would, if we saw the starting lineup on Saturday and Bruno and Rashford both weren't in it, it wouldn't bother me. I'd actually probably be encouraged in the sense at least Erik ten Hag's had the kind of steel in him to make a ruthless decision. So I'll talk about the starting 11 in a second. The starting 11, I think Erik ten Hag will play. So, there are all the quotes. Let me just have a look at it now. Yeah, there are all the quotes that are coming out that I wanted to kind of get across to you guys. Let me just make sure I've got everything there. I have. And when I say we need to make sure we keep hold of the ball, we do. Because how many times from the midfield is the sloppiness come into play and we give them the ball back to counter-attack us, or our attack breaks down because Rashford's run into somebody again and got dispossessed because Bruno's forced a ball into the box or forced a shot when he should have passed it. We need to keep hold of the ball and be more patient because more chances will come that way, and it gives Højlund a better chance of receiving the ball in the box as well. We need to be more patient because Brentford are going to see the fact that we are sloppy, we can be easily pressured, and as long as they cut off that supply to Højlund, they are pretty sure that they can keep the rest of our team quite quiet. Rashford's in a bad vein of form. They'll probably double up on him. Anthony doesn't really give you much output going forward. Realistically, he's not a huge threat. He's very, very easy to read always cutting in on his left foot. You're not going to be worried about him getting to the byline and getting a good crossing on his right, are you? So Man United need to become more unpredictable. They need to have not just a plan A, but a plan B and a plan C, and we need to be more patient. Anyway, I want to talk about the starting 11 that I think will play in tomorrow's game. So, this is what I think Ten Hag will do. And you can comment on whether you think this would be a good starting lineup. So, he's going to be an Arna in goal. He's going to back him. I think he'll play Dalot right back. I think he'll play Varane and Lindelof as the centre-backs. And I think he'll go with Amrabat left back again. I don't want it to be the case, but I think that's what he'll do. Because obviously Reguilon's still out. He's going to play Anthony on the right. So therefore, to fit his midfielders in that he wants to play, I think it'll be a midfield of Casemiro, Mount and Bruno. And then I think his front three will be Anthony, Højlund and Rashford. I don't think that is a good idea. I really don't. I think that midfield will get destroyed. I just don't think that it'll work, especially in a game where we need to go into it not conceding goals. We need to keep a clean sheet. But I just don't. I see Erik ten Hag as a very stubborn manager. I doubt he'll play Maguire and then play Lindelof right back and Dalot left back. That's what I would do. But that's what I think Ten Hag will do. What I would do in this game, this would be my starting 11 for tomorrow, everyone. My starting 11 would be Onana in goal, Lindelof right back. I don't want to say it, but Varane and Maguire as centre-backs. I'd have Dalot as a left back. I'd have Casemiro, Amrabat and Mount in midfield. And I'd have a front three of Anthony, Højlund and Garnacho. That would be my starting 11 for tomorrow. It will never happen. And everybody knows how much I love Bruno Fernandes. Absolutely adore the guy. I think he's brilliant, but he's not playing well. And Mount has played well. And you can only fit one of them in that team. You can only fit one. So I think we need Casemiro and Amrabat in that midfield to shore it up. So that's what I'd do. That is what I'd do. People are laughing at Maguire. Our defence has been shocking. It can't get any worse, everyone. Can't get any worse. Maguire played well in the one game he played in. And with Amrabat's not a fullback. So Lindelof has to move out to right back. What other options? You could play Johnny Evans. I'd be down for that. It could be Varane and Johnny Evans. That is another one. But you've got to play either Evans or Maguire. So pick one at the end of the day. But anyway, that's what I would go with. Everyone get your lineups in, and if you agree with that or not, I'd be interested to know. Gary Neville, how the mighty have fallen. I assume that isn't actually Gary Neville there in the chat. If it is, hiya. How are you doing? But no, how the mighty have fallen, it is true. Like the fact we're deciding whether Evans or Maguire should play as centre-back in a first-team game at Old Trafford in the Premier League in a must-win game is crazy. And I don't agree with you that Onana has to start, said Res Rotten Tomatoes. How many people would drop Onana? Because I wouldn't. Like, I think it's the complete wrong thing to do. If you drop Onana, his confidence is on the floor. It's already not. But his confidence is on the floor. And if you bring Bayindir in and he's rubbish and he doesn't play well, you're in a very bad situation. You're in a situation where Onana, his confidence is completely broken, but you've brought someone in who can't even do what we need him to do anyway. I'm not judging Bayindir yet because I've not seen him play, but it's a huge, huge risk. I wouldn't drop Onana. I think it's Erik ten Hag's signing. It's been 7 weeks. We've got to stick by him. In the future, if it doesn't get better, obviously there's a question to be asked. But for now, I think you've got to stick with him. Would you drop Onana? Let's see what people are saying there. I'm saying no. 56% say no straight off the bat. Make sure you get your votes in. I want to say, someone said, if no improvement, Beth, I would sell Onana. Obviously, if there's no improvement, that is a problem. But it's been 7 weeks. People are very, very impatient sometimes. But I'm not excusing it. He's not been good and he needs to improve. But dropping him now, I just think would be the complete wrong thing to do. It would be the complete wrong thing to do. And it also sets a bad example to the rest of the team. If Onana gets dropped and then Rashford doesn't get dropped, Bruno doesn't get dropped, Casemiro doesn't get dropped, all players that haven't been performing at the level we want them to. Like, where does it end with this? Do you know what I mean? Where does it end? And is anyone in the chat, can you confidently say you've watched Bayindir play for Fenerbahce across the course of a season and you know he's going to be an improvement? Can anyone confidently say that to me? If you can, then fair enough, but I've not. I've not watched Fenerbahce over the course of the season. I don't know how good Bayindir is. So I'm not willing to take that risk. Onana is a Champions League final goalkeeper that had 10 clean sheets in the Champions League, and he's got a good career behind him. He needs support and needs backing from his teammates to come through this bad spell, in my opinion. So would you drop Onana? I'm glad to say that the vote is skewing in the way of no, you wouldn't. But anyway, that is Erik ten Hag's press conference, everyone. I think we got through everything there. That would be my team lineup, what I've just told you at the end. Make sure you get yours in. I'll be interested to see what yours are. Go through the comments on that and see what it is. I'm going to give my score prediction. I am going to go with 2-1 to Manchester United. 2-1. I think we'll be holding it on. I think we will concede. But we need to win this game. I don't know what's telling me that we're going to win, but we need to. If we don't, we're in serious trouble, especially going into the international break. Things could get very, very toxic throughout the international break. We've seen it before. We've seen these players turn before. So get behind the manager, everyone. Obviously, you're all right to have your concerns. Let me know in the comments what you think, what team you would play tomorrow. Thank you, everyone, for watching and joining me for the press conference reaction. Make sure you tune in later on, Mark's 8 p.m. show, and we've got all the match day content for you. I would say, let's get excited for a good week of football, but Man United haven't given us that in so long. Let's hope it turns around tomorrow. Thanks for watching, everyone. Have a lovely Friday night, whatever you're doing. Make sure you hit a like on the video, and I will see you on the next one.